Racing games may not be a massive market, but even still, there are some titles that go underneath our radar but certainly shouldn't stay that way. So here are 5 underrated racing games worth revisiting. Midnight Club. By no means is Midnight Club a forgotten title, as it's probably the most well-known entry on this list. However, it wasn't quite as massive as other franchises like Need for Speed or Gran Turismo. Chances are, if you haven't played Midnight Club, you've at least heard about it. And don't let those words fall on deaf ears, because everything you've heard about Midnight Club is just as great as it actually is. It's a simple arcade street racer that features lots of customization, a strong roster of tuner legends, diverse cityscapes, and rewarding progression. In fact, one of my favorite aspects about Midnight Club is its progression, because it doesn't just throw supercars at you like most arcade racers do. The game has an emphasis on making your ride your own in every way. If you honestly want to, you may never even use the supercar and just keep upgrading your freaking Dodge Neon to the point that it just wins the end game. It's a frustrating experience at times, but it's a reminder of what a racing game should be like. During my playthrough of Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition Remix on Kotaku, I realized how spoiled racing games, especially modern ones, have made me because of their overly fast progression and their stupidly easy low barrier of entry. With that said, if you're someone with a bit of skill, Midnight Club 3 is an arcade racer for someone who's looking to kill some time both in the garage and on the streets. Project Gotham Racing. Before there was Forza, if you owned an Xbox, chances are you probably had a copy of Project Gotham. Project Gotham was unique for having a simcade racing style, meaning that it was a mash between arcade and simulation styles. This resulted in driving physics that were loved by both casuals and hardcore fans alike. It featured a varied list of fictional tracks across the world, and perhaps the most memorable reason most people bought these games was because of its association with Ferrari. Every Project Gotham game had a beautiful flagship Ferrari on its cover. And if you're a fan of the 4th and final installment, let me tell you, the amount of hours you'll force yourself to grind just to get that Ferrari FXX will drive you insane. Ultimately though, from a retrospective look, it's safe to say the game hasn't aged that well. Project Gotham may have been one of the first simcade style racers, but it certainly was not the best, as games like Forza Horizon later perfected this formula. Before long, Microsoft themselves had moved on with Forza. This left Project Gotham Racing out to hang, but should you feel an urge to quench your nostalgia, take a look at this classic racer and you'll grow to respect where it all came from. Need for Speed Shift. While Need for Speed itself is a massive franchise, the Shift sub-series was perhaps the least favorite and didn't sell as well as their arcade titles. It was a complete divergence from the formula that had made Need for Speed so successful. It wasn't an arcade-style nitrous-firing cop-running street racing game. It was a simulation game that featured touring-styled cars on proper racetracks as they set out in perfection of the best times. The main developer of Need for Speed Shift, Slightly Mad Studios, may sound familiar to you, and that's because they also are the developer of the now renowned Project Cars franchise. So chances are, if you enjoyed Project Cars and want to know its roots, you should definitely check out the Shift games. Tourist Trophy. Developed by Polyphony Digital, the same studio for developing the massively successful Gran Turismo franchise, the Tourist Trophy series went under a lot of our radars. For one, it was a game about motorcycles instead of cars, but even if you aren't a fan of motorcycles, there is still a lot of heart to be found here. Tourist Trophy had a lot of the same racetracks that Gran Turismo had, both real and original in design, as well as over 100 bikes to choose from. It was a game no one really asked for, but nonetheless a game that was made as though if everyone wanted it. Polyphony Digital didn't spare any expense when making this game, and despite using the same engine as Gran Turismo 4, the game very much feels alive in its pursuit of trying to simulate bike riding. It honestly didn't get as much attention as it deserved, and considering its quality, it definitely deserved more. If you're a motorcycle fan, this is definitely a game worth checking out. Honorable mentions. Ride 2. Speaking of motorcycles, if you can't get yourself a working copy of Tourist Trophy for your dusty PlayStation 2, then if you have a PC, another bike game I'd recommend is Ride 2, which is basically just Forza for motorcycles. So if that doesn't sell you on the game, I really don't know what else will. Auto Modellista. Since the majority of my viewers on this channel are here for cars, let's finish off this list with a beautiful racing game featuring cel-shaded cars. I will admit, the driving in this game is a little rough around the edges and does leave some to be desired. It's nowhere near perfect, and it can be finicky and difficult to manage for beginners, but once you get used to it, you'll feel the satisfaction of every corner you take. And once the driving is no longer a pain in the ass, you can finally focus on the actual charm of this game. Its art style. Some of you guys may just be rolling your eyes, but to a freaking weeb like myself, I love the cel-shaded anime art style this game has. It's anime cars. That's all a weeb like myself could ever want from this world. That is 100% the only reason why I went to the effort of buying myself a copy of this game. Because I could care less about the imperfections, because an art style alone is an experience. And honestly, with every racing game nowadays constantly pursuing super realistic graphics, it kinda pisses me off that no one is trying anything else. At first, I wanted to blame the developers, but in actuality, it's our fault, the consumers. Most other genres like shooters, adventure games, RPGs, etc., they have various art styles due to the diversity of the audience's taste. However, most of us racing fans are boring scrubs who only like realistic graphics. That's part of the reason most arcade racers are dying nowadays. We're becoming too cynical. You can't blame developers for not wanting to be experimental when the audience that they're working with is known not to react well to experimental stuff. Someday, I hope a developer takes a good look at this game, watches a crap ton of anime like me, and develops another beautifully stunning cel-shaded racer, but with modern cars and better driving physics. Until that day, I'm just going to keep playing the crap out of Auto Modellista. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video, or at the very least, found a new game to add to your collection. If you enjoy uploads about anything automotive, then make sure to subscribe and like the video. Other than that, thanks for watching and see y'all next time. Blade Angel out.